So, is AI actually building F1's next generation of stars? Or are we just watching very talented teenagers with very expensive computers behind them? This is Should I AI? Quick one before we get into it. This channel's just me, researched, scripted, and edited on a free setup. If you're into this kind of thing, hit subscribe. Right, let's get into it. 2026 brought the biggest regulation overhaul F1 scene in over a decade. Smaller, lighter, more nimble cars. A completely reworked power unit, with the old heat recovery system gone and replaced by a near 50-50 split between petrol and electric power. Active aerodynamics that adjust the car's wings in real time on every straight, for every driver. Lewis Hamilton called it probably the biggest regulation change I have experienced in my career. And here's the bit that actually matters for us, with the rulebook essentially reset to zero. Every team's old advantages, old data, old experience mostly got wiped out overnight. That's exactly the kind of moment AI thrives in, because suddenly nobody has a head start except whoever can simulate their way to one fastest. Technology is now F1's single biggest spending category. Teams spent an estimated $769 million on it last season alone, up 41% on the year before. Increasingly, that money's going straight into AI. McLaren's working with Google, using Gemini to build tools, including a live data system that lets engineers ask questions about race data in plain English instead of manually comparing lap times by hand.
Red Bull's got Oracle running an AI-powered strategy agent on the pit wall. Ferrari's using Amazon's cloud platform, custom models that have cut their aerodynamic simulation times by up to 60%. Mercedes layers predictive algorithms from a company called G42 on top of Microsoft's systems. Aston Martin signed partnerships with CoreWeave, Cohere, and the chip company ARM.
And here's the one that actually caught me off guard while researching this. Williams has Anthropic's Claude embedded directly inside their race strategy team. The exact AI company who helps timestamp and info-check this script with me is sitting on an actual F1 pit wall right now, feeding into real strategy calls. Academic researchers at King's College London and Imperial College even built an AI model using reinforcement learning and tested it against Lewis Hamilton's real 2023 Bahrain race strategy. On average, across thousands of simulations, the AI pit calls beat what the real team actually did. So how does any of this connect to a 19-year-old topping the championship? Drivers train in hyper-realistic AI-powered simulators that recreate every corner and braking zone before they ever touch the real track. And those simulations get continuously updated with real race data. A young driver today can rack up thousands of effective laps of experience before their actual debut lap. Racing Bulls partnered with a company called Neural Concept, specifically for this year's regulation reset, using digital twins and machine learning to test aerodynamic setups that would be physically impossible to trial within F1's limited testing windows. Most other teams are doing some version of the same thing. Here's the honestly slightly uncomfortable part. Raw talent still gets a driver signed, but once they're in the seat, how fast a team can actually develop them, how quickly promising rookie turns into championship leader, increasingly comes down to how good that team's simulation pipeline is behind the scenes. Max Verstappen made his debut in an era before any of this existed at scale. Speaking of Max, his current situation is honestly one of the wildest storylines running in F1 right now. And it connects straight back to everything we've just talked about. He's sitting 7th in the championship, 101 points behind Antonelli. After Red Bull's 2026 car struggled to match the reset regulations the way Mercedes and McLaren have. His contract has a performance-based exit clause. If he's not in the top 2 by the summer break, he's free to leave Red Bull at the end of the season. After a rough British Grand Prix, that clause is now mathematically active. He's been linked with Mercedes, with McLaren, even floated the idea of a sabbatical. Whatever happens with Max, here's the pattern underneath it. The teams that adapted fastest to this AI-heavy, simulation-first era are the ones winning right now. Red Bull, dominant for years under the old rules, has had to play catch-up under the new ones. That's not a coincidence. It's exactly the reset the rulebook, reward whoever simulates best dynamic we talked about back in segment 2, playing out in real time with one of the sport's biggest ever names. Here's what stops this turning into an unregulated AI arms race. The FIA is actively writing new rules specifically to govern AI use in F1, with major updates expected across 2027 and 2028. Their core principle, car development, has to stay led mainly by human engineers, not AI systems working alone. They've long capped the raw computing power teams can throw at aerodynamics modeling for exactly this reason. The FIAS even reportedly using its own AI now, for things like policing technical rule compliance. So even the regulator is racing to keep up with the exact technology it's supposed to be regulating. So, should Formula One be using AI like this? If we're talking simulation, strategy modeling, and aerodynamic testing inside a heavily regulated, human-led framework, yes, clearly. And it's already happening at every team on the grid. If we're talking AI making the actual calls unsupervised, with no human in the loop, the FIA itself says no, and is actively writing rules to keep it that way. Here's the Should I AI scorecard. Time saved. 9 out of 10, cuts simulation and testing time dramatically in a reset regulation year. Competitive impact. 9 out of 10. Technology spend is now F1's biggest budget category for a reason. Regulatory risk. 6 out of 10. The FIAS actively building guardrails. This isn't a free-for-all. Future potential. 9 out of 10. With 2027 to 2028 AI rules already being drafted, this only gets more embedded, not less. Today's overall verdict, 8 out of 10. Not because AI is driving the car, it isn't, and the FIA is making sure it stays that way, but because behind every driver on that grid right now, including a 19-year-old currently leading the championship and a 4-time champion fighting to stay, relevant under a rulebook that erased his old advantage. There's a simulation pipeline running that simply didn't exist a decade ago. That's Should I AI. This time, the fastest car on the grid might just be the one with the best AI behind it, not just in front of the wheel. Stay tuned, as next up we have something special, where we will be doing World Cup week, with an episode midweek focusing on how AI helped build this year's World Cup and other information. Then on the weekend, it will be the final of the World Cup, where we will drop an episode on how AI is involved with the final this year, and potentially, what ref mistakes might be made that could cost one country the World Cup. So I'll see you in the next one, for Should I AI the World Cup Week special.